I have been going through a bunch of my old car magazines, deciding which ones to keep and which ones to recycle, and I found something pretty interesting. In this November 2000 issue of Super Chevy magazine, I found the oldest Harbor Freight ad I have ever seen. I'll show you some of the most interesting things in this ad and how they compare to the items Harbor Freight sells now. I have been looking through a ton of magazines from basically 1997 to 2001, and that is the first Harbor Freight ad I have found, so I was pretty surprised to see it. It's a big change from now when there is a Harbor Freight ad in pretty much every magazine. And at the end of the video, I'll tell you where to get a high-resolution scan of this ad if you want to see it. To get a little better idea of Harbor Freight 20 years ago, I went on to the Internet Archive and looked at their website from late 2000. The website says back then they had 88 stores in 20 states. And if you look at the list of states, we're mainly talking about states on the West Coast, Southwest, and just starting to move into the central US. Compare that to now when the Harbor Freight website says they have more than 1,000 stores. Anyway, let's get started and take a look at some of these items. First up, the 2¼ ton floor jack. Just looking at this photo, I can tell that this was kind of a generic floor jack that was sold under a lot of different brands. I had a very similar one back then, and it was not branded Harbor Freight. I could not find this on the old Harbor Freight website, but on the current website, there are a couple jacks that kind of fill this niche now. There is one they sell for $99, a 2-ton floor jack, as well as a 3-ton floor jack for just over $100. But if you were to use a coupon, you could get it for about 90 bucks. Let's compare that price, $89, versus the $48.99 of the old one adjusted for inflation. You look, that would be about $73 in 2020 money. So you see, it's not a straight comparison. This jack is a little bit more money, but it has rapid pump. It's also 3-ton rated. It has some nicer features the old one does not have. So really that extra price above inflation, I think, is kind of justified. Also, the price of the floor jack here, $49, included shipping, so that also accounts for some of the price. Next up, this ball joint press, which sells for $29.99 shipped. If you adjust that for inflation, it's about $45. The current one is significantly more expensive. You can see it's about $90 for regular price, but on sale, it's only about 60 bucks. There is some increase in cost there, even adjusting for inflation. But if you look at the current kit, it's a bigger, more complete set, so I think that cost is justified. Also, we don't know how the quality of these compares. Maybe the old one was not as well made. And finally, probably the most interesting one to me, which is the 4-inch Chicago electric angle grinder. I'm a little surprised to see 4 inches rather than the more common 4½ inches, but if you look on the website, it's also listed as a 4-inch angle grinder, and if you look, they do have 4½ inch ones in some of the other models so that they sell. So I'm not sure why they offered this one in a 4-inch version. So in the ad here, it is $19.99, including shipping. When I went to the Internet Archive version of the Harbor Freight website, I was able to find it on sale for $17.99, regular price $37.99. So punch that $17.99 price into the inflation calculator and you get $26.77 in 2020 money. And this one is so interesting to me because we all know that now Harbor Freight sells a 4½ inch grinder, regular priced here $15, but always on sale for 10 bucks. I've done several videos about these grinders. They are really cheaply made, but they're only $10, and it's shocking they can even make one and sell it for that price. There are some differences here. If you look at the current one, it is 4.3 amps versus the old one that Harbor Freight was selling then, which is 3/4 horsepower. It's a little bit more than 4 amps. So this one they were selling for 20 bucks back in the day was a little more powerful. I think that probably accounts for some of the difference in price. When you adjust this old one for inflation and see $17.99 equals more than 25 bucks in today's money, that just shows how kind of mind-blowing it is that they sell these current ones for only 10 bucks. But another thing to remember is that now Harbor Freight has a bunch of different models, many more than they sold back then. So yes, you have the cheap one that they sell for 10 bucks, but they also have more powerful ones, several other brands of more expensive ones. I think my personal favorite probably is this rat tail one, which you can get with a coupon for usually about $35 or $40. I did a review on this one and tore it apart. It's pretty nicely made, and I definitely like the trigger switch design. But anyway, getting back to the grinders, we see that they now sell a lot of different quality levels and a lot of different price points, more than they used to back 20 years ago. But another thing that's interesting 20 years ago is they did have some more expensive ones. This one is a paddle switch design, and if you scroll down here, you'll see Harbor Freight used to sell a lot of name brand items. Here is a Makita grinder, here is a Bosch grinder, so they did not focus as much on store brand stuff as they do now. I'll put a link to this ad down below in the description. Take a look at it and then tell me what you think. Is there anything surprising in here? Let me know in the comments down below. And thanks for watching.